Have you done everything right in the society to lose weight? They tell you to cut your calories, they tell you to exercise more, they tell you to do all this stuff, and if you're not losing weight, you're the failure. Have you felt like you were the failure and your weight was not budging no matter what happened? Well, today I'm going to share my story with y'all on how I got to my highest weight, which was 442 pounds. And this was despite the exercise, the diets, listening to the experts, even going down alternative medicine, functional medicine, and being in massive debt because of it. This is actually my honest story of how I got to 442 pounds. So, as I promised y'all, I have lost 101 pounds, and this is the start of my 100-pound series with the story of part one of how I got to 442 pounds. So let's start from childhood because that's exactly where it starts. So I was always a bigger child and I always had a lot of underlying health conditions since I was young. I do believe thyroid issues were from a very young age. I had a condition called lipedema, which is the enlargement of my legs as a connective tissue disorder that affected the size of my legs and my weight. I remember not feeling very good as a child. And this starts off intergenerationally. Like both sides of my family, there's obesity on both sides. And my mom was, unfortunately, had her own disordered eating growing up. And that was modeled to me as healthy eating. Like it did not matter what we ate as long as we maintained a certain physique. And that was the message that was pounded to me from a young age. From a young age, too, I was forced into a lot of extreme diets to lose the weight. And sure, maybe I lost the weight for a bit, but then I would gain it back and I would gain it more once I started to eat normally. All these diets, and plus it was the toxic diet culture of the 80s, 90s, and early 2000s that was also pushed onto me of it didn't matter what you ate as long as you stayed thin. And that was the message that was pounded to me. I was never taught to eat healthy just because it was good for my body. I was never taught exercise as a form of self care and not punishment. I was never taught that healthy eating it means eating a variety of like fruits and vegetables, etc. I wish I was taught that, but I was not taught that. And with all these restrictive diets that I went on, I gained weight, lost weight, gained weight, lost weight, and it was like a yo-yo effect. And you know what happens when we gain, lose is we also lose muscle. We also lose connective tissue. We also lose bone structure. We don't just lose fat. So we need to be very cognizant of that when we're gaining and losing weight. Um, and that's what happened with me because I gained and lost so much since childhood. 100% I lost muscle. And this was actually proven to me when I actually went to do when I did a body composition test on myself like a couple of years ago is I did not have a lot of muscle. I actually had a lot more fat and my muscle and bone density and everything was very low. And that was really a huge wake up call for me. There was a lot of fat shaming from school. There was a lot of fat shaming at home. And people calling me ugly, calling me fat, calling me all this was a word curse on me. And maybe I sound extreme, but I 100% it is a word curse because Proverbs says, life and death are in the power of your tongue. Our tongues are powerful. Our mouth is powerful. Our words are powerful. So we have to be really careful of what we're saying to ourselves and to other people. How many of us say that, oh, look at how fat we are. We look in the mirror like we're squeezing the fat or whatever. Like, that's not good. That's not good at all. You're placing a word curse on yourself. So just be careful of that. So I remember I was at this point, I was going to functional medicine, I was doing alternative medicine, naturopathic, and I got into a lot of debt over it. I saw a very famous functional medicine doctor in the Houston area. I will not name him. Very expensive, though. I spent a lot of money on his care, and I was only seeing temporary relief. I was not seeing permanent relief. And I was not losing the weight like he wanted me to. And it just felt like my body was stuck no matter how much I tried to lose this weight. It's like my body would lose weight to an extent and then it would stop no matter how hard I tried. And people said that it was a plateau and I would try to do things to get through this plateau. But I'm telling you, my body just didn't respond no matter how long or how hard I tried. It's like after a certain extent, I would not lose the weight anymore. And it was frustrating, it was defeating, it was sad because I look at my peers who were basically doing similar things to me or doing things that weren't as drastic as I was doing, and they were losing the weight. Yeah, I was not losing the weight. I remember crying so much because I was like, why are they losing the weight and I'm not? I just felt so stuck. I remember this was in my 30s. I was in my 30s at this time, and I was fighting so hard, y'all, to stay under 300 pounds. I was fighting tooth and nail to stay under 300 pounds. And it was hard because I was not eating a lot. I was cold all the time. I lost a lot of muscle mass at that point. And at the time, I didn't know. I knew later on, but I was fighting so hard. At that time, I didn't know there was underlying insulin resistance. Again, I was going to doctors at this time, and everyone's telling me my insulin and A1C was great. But there was underlying insulin resistance. There was high inflammatory markers I was not aware of, an unbalanced thyroid flare-ups. I mean, there was a whole host of issues underneath that was going on that, again, was not addressed by doctors and alternative medicine. Again, I mean, functional medicine and naturopath and alternative medicine failed me. I'm going to be honest, this is why personally I'm not a big believer in it. However, this was just my personal experience. I'm not telling y'all to not try it. I'm just telling y'all that if you do go down this route, be very cognizant of your health and just pray. I got to the point where I was working with a functional medicine nurse, trying to get my thyroid and my hormones like in check, and she kept giving me all this advice to lose weight, but I was not losing the weight no matter how hard that I tried. And I kept telling her, I'm doing everything that you're telling me, but it's not coming off. The weight is not coming off. This is what she told me. She's like, Aaliyah, I don't know what to tell you. It seems like you're doing everything right and your body's not responding. I just think your metabolism is shot. And when she said metabolism, I was like, But then she tried to sell me the HCG diet, which is some kind of restrictive diet where you get like HCG injections, then you're like on a 600 calorie diet. And she tried to sell me metabolism boosters. But I knew that was not the answer. So I said no. And that was the last time that I saw her. And I got so frustrated with functional medicine. And I remember going home and just crying. I cried because I felt like I was doing everything right and my body was not responding, and I was wondering, what is wrong with me? Like, what's wrong with me? Now I know. Now there's nothing wrong with me. I'm fearfully, wonderfully made. But at that time, I was like, what is wrong with me? And I remember just Googling and doing research on how to boost your metabolism. So then I came upon a term called going all in with eating disorder recovery. Because at that point, I definitely knew there was some disordered eating going on. And I had gotten to the point where I fell into multiple eating disorders at different point in times. At one point, it was binge eating disorder. During my early 20s, where I was severely restricted. That's another story for another day. And in my 30s, definitely with the functional medicine and everything, orthorexia. That's unfortunately a very common one when you're in alternative medicine and wellness space. I was bulimic when I was younger. Didn't realize that until much later in life. So there was different eating disorders too in the span of dieting and restriction. So for those who don't know, all in is a popular eating disorder recovery method. And this concept sounds good on the surface. It tells you to completely stop restricting, stop dieting, stop controlling your food, and eat whatever your body asks you to eat. Again, on the surface, it sounds good, but we're going to go into it until your hunger settles down. And I remember at that point fighting to stay under 300. I was starving, y'all. I was starving. The theory is you eat to satiation, your body will eventually get into homeostasis, will eventually balance itself out, and will release something called overshoot weight, which it releases the weight it no longer needs. It will eventually get to your set point weight, which is the weight that you are naturally designed to be at, where your body doesn't have to fight to stay at that weight. And of course, the set point weight, I believe now that it's the weight that our creator wants you to be at, and it's a weight that you don't have to fight your body. During this process, your metabolism is supposed to repair, your hormones are supposed to repair, your gut health is supposed to repair. Everything that's not balanced is supposed to be using the calories that it gets from all in and repairing the systems in your body. In my case, that did not happen. I actually worked with a coach and I worked with a dietitian. And before doing this method, I did a lot of research. I bought some books on people who did it. I looked at the science. I interviewed a dietitian. I interviewed a coach. So I did not go into this method blindly. I would say this method is kind of like a extreme form of reverse dieting, because I was thinking of doing reverse dieting initially because you gain the weight slower in this reverse dieting, whereas all in you gain the weight fast. But I was like, you know what? If I'm gonna do it, let me just literally go all in, because my thought process at the time is just get it over with. You know, the faster you do it, the faster you get it over with, the faster you can get to your set point weight. Or so I thought. Okay, so we go into this all in process with this coach, and she's also teaching me like manifestation methods and visualization and stuff that she did allegedly to get to the weight that she was at. And she's teaching me like, confidence and stuff like that. Again, not everything she taught me was bad, like the confidence and loving yourself now, but everything else, now that I look at it, was not good. But I was gaining a lot of weight very fast. Again, didn't surprise me. I knew going into this I was going to gain weight, but I gained a lot of weight very fast, and I was gaining it very rapidly. And I was like expressing concern to her, like, I'm gaining all this weight. Is this normal to gain all this weight? And she's like, yeah, just trust your body. Keep going, keep going. But it got to the point where I was gaining too much weight, and I was like, no, I think I need to stop this. And I remember at first thinking that this was a good thing, like, my body is restoring, because initially I felt a little better, I'll be honest. Initially, I felt a little bit better doing this process. But as time went on, I started to feel a lot worse, and the weight gain was supposed to stop, but I kept gaining weight. So I had stopped the process, and at that time, I was already just over all the processed food and stuff, and I was like, okay, let me just eat in moderation. And even despite that, I was still gaining weight. So I'll be honest, I had ignored it for a while because she was teaching me, oh, well, don't get on the scale, don't do this, just keep trusting your body. So all in did not work for me because there was a lot of underlying health conditions that were going on that I was not aware of. Again, despite going to doctors and alternative medicine and naturopaths, nobody told me I was insulin resistant. Nobody told me that I was dealing with fatty liver disease, high inflammatory markers, unbalanced thyroid, etc. So there were a lot of underlying issues that were going on that was not addressed because I thought everything was fine. Again, y'all, when you go to these doctors, get copies of your blood work and ask a lot of questions. I just blindly trusted these doctors, and I wish I did not do that. That's why after every doctor's visit, I always request a copy of my blood work. Going all in was like pouring gasoline on fire already, and things it didn't go good at all. So at the time that I was doing the all in, I got into body positivity and health at every size. It gets introduced to you when you are recovering from an eating disorder. And health at every size says that you can do health promoting behaviors at any size. And I do believe that, but I do not believe you can be healthy at any size. That's not how the Most High created us. The Most High did not create us to be big. This is the enemy, y'all. This is the enemy who's wanting us to be fat and lazy so we don't do our purpose in this life. I even worked with a health at every size doctor, and it was good to an extent. I will get into that story another time, but it keeps you stuck. That's the problem. Same thing with body positivity. It's good in the beginning. The problem is it keeps you stuck. And like the dangers of being in a morbidly obese body, it doesn't address the restrictions of being in a morbidly obese body, because when you're in a morbidly obese body, you are restricted. I did not realize how much I was restricted until I got to 442 pounds. I mean, things that I never had to think about, I now had to think about. Shoes. I could not fit in regular shoes anymore. I couldn't even fit in men's sizes anymore. I had to go to a company called Beltwell that specialized in lymphedema products and had to get shoes that stretched out. Clothes. I wasn't even a plus size anymore. I was a size 30 plus, and I had to go to the extended size. My car, just driving every single day, became an issue. Couldn't go to the grocery store. I had to worry about weight limits for everything. So the problem with body positivity and health at every size is, I'm just gonna straight up say it, they don't address the quality of life that happens when you reach a certain weight. Their solution is buy 2 airplane tickets, or there's solutions for everything. Yeah, sure, if you have money, there's solutions, but a lot of us do not have the money. And just walking every single day, I mean, everything became severely restricted. And my heart goes out to people who are in that show, My 600 Pound Life, and who are like in a morbidly obese body, because I understand and it sucks. And I would never wish that upon anybody. So that is the problem with the movements like body positivity and health at every size. And it keeps you stuck and it can keep you complacent. And they're hypocrites. They are a bunch of hypocrites because they'll tell you, oh, you stay fat, you do this, you do that, fat positivity, fat activism. But look at them. A lot of these people who are saying stay fat are thin. A bunch of hypocrites, y'all. A bunch of hypocrites. So do not let anybody tell you to stay fat. Do not let anybody tell you, oh, being fat is awesome, being fat is this. You know, you live in the reality of your body. It is not awesome when you're restricted. It's not awesome when you cannot do things. It's not awesome when you're walking up the stairs and you're completely out of breath. It's not awesome when you cannot fit in your clothes. And yet these people are telling you to stay fat while they're thin and they're reaping the benefits. Like, man, just go away. It was really traumatic to see going to the doctors and seeing that my body was gaining all this weight. And they were telling me, like, what are you doing? Why are you gaining all this weight? And so when I tried to explain it to them, they looked at me like I was crazy. Now I understand. And the coach was just gaslighting me. That's essentially what she was doing. She was gaslighting me. And I'm not going to mention the name of this coach. I pray for her. I had reached 442 pounds and I was in denial about my weight for a very long time. You know, the funny part is how I got to my health journey, and I don't like explaining this part of my story, but I think in a weird way it's kind of pivotal. So I remember at that time I had seen a psychic. This was before I came to the Father. I do not in any way, shape, or form condone psychics at all. The Bible is very clear that this is a form of divination and this is an abomination to the Most High. What I did was an abomination and I repented for it. But again, this was before I came to my Father and I had seen a psychic. So I don't see a psychic. Y'all do not see one. You're going to open doors and things are not going to be good. Anyways, I had seen this psychic. I was asking him a bunch of questions about other things. But I did not ask this psychic any questions about my health. But my health came up and he said, you are gaining a lot of weight. And I was like, okay. He's like, yeah, I see you're gaining a lot of weight. I see there's a lot of pain in your body. I see there's a lot of inflammation. And he's like, there's something with insulin and your hormones going on. He's like, I don't know if it's insulin resistance. I don't know if it's PCOS, diabetes. He's like, I don't know what's going on, but there is something going on with your insulin and your hormones. And he's like, you have very high inflammatory markers. He's like, you need to go to the doctor and you need to get a blood test. So I was going to the doctor that next week anyway. So I was like, all right, whatever. I mean, I really didn't believe him. I was just like, whatever, I'm just going to go. And I'm not going to say that he was right because, demons, but I mean, there was insulin resistance and high inflammatory markers and hormonal imbalances. I mean, it's not surprising considering, everything that had gone through. So, that was the catalyst for me to kind of get started on my health journey. Yes, y'all, that's how I got to 442 pounds. It wasn't just one thing. It was a lot of combinations of things that happened. There was a lot of spiritual stuff that happened too. Like my aunt also performed black magic on us. And that was something that I definitely believe kept me stuck for a very long time. I was sexually abused from a young age. So I think the aftermath of that was gain the weight and just hide. There was a lot of like spiritual and mental stuff going on as well. Because so many people told me I was fat. That was kind of my identity for a while. I remember my identity for a while was being a plus size girl. And I hate that I'm saying this, but being a BBW, which is big, beautiful woman. Oh, so cringy. But that was, again, y'all got to be careful with what you're saying to people because people can internalize it and it can become their identity. So it was a lot of things that got me to 442 pounds. It wasn't just, eat a lot. Yes, obviously food did have a lot to do with it, but there was a lot of underlying causes as well. So yeah, I didn't get to 442 pounds just by a lack of willpower. I got there because my foundation was broken from childhood and a lot of things just kept accumulating as I got older and older. My metabolism was ruined by diet culture. And my body was forced into this trend of going all in that my body just did not handle well at all. So as a result, I got to 442 pounds at my highest weight. But the good news is the Most High does restore. He is restoring me. I am down 101 pounds. Hallelujah. And I'm just really excited for where things are going. I'm actually not too far from being under 300 pounds. I cannot wait till that day happens. If you've tried everything like me and nothing is working for you, I just want to let you know that you are not alone in this process. I am opening up mentorship. I'm opening up 3 spots currently, and we can get deeper into what's going on and look at other issues that other people may not be talking about, because there's a lot of spiritual things that could be holding us back. And again, my next video will actually be going more into the spiritual. But again, if you need help with mentorship, my link is down below in the description. Thank y'all so much. Next video, we will be getting into the spiritual aspects. I love you. Shalom.